The global tech landscape is shifting. A new era of competition is underway. It's not just about market share or profits. This is about technological dominance. At the heart of this struggle are the United States and China. These two superpowers are locked in a battle for technological supremacy. The U.S. has long held the upper hand. Silicon Valley has been the epicenter of innovation. But China is catching up. Chinese tech giants like Huawei have emerged as serious contenders. They are challenging the established order. This rivalry has escalated into a full-blown tech Cold War. The U.S., wary of China's rise, has taken unprecedented steps. They aim to curb China's technological ambitions. Sanctions have been imposed. Restrictions have been enacted. The goal is clear: to maintain U.S. dominance in the tech sector. This tech war has far-reaching consequences. It is reshaping the global tech industry. Companies are caught in the crossfire. Supply chains are being disrupted. The future of technology hangs in the balance. Huawei, once a little-known Chinese company, has become a global tech titan. It is a leader in telecommunications equipment. Its smartphones are used worldwide. Huawei's success is a testament to China's technological prowess. But Huawei's rise has not gone unnoticed. The U.S. sees Huawei as a threat. It accuses Huawei of espionage. It claims Huawei's equipment could be used for spying. Huawei denies these allegations. In 2019, the U.S. placed Huawei on a trade blacklist. This was a significant blow. It restricted Huawei's access to U.S. technology. It hampered Huawei's ability to produce its products. The sanctions were designed to cripple Huawei. Huawei, however, refused to be cowed. The company saw the sanctions as a call to action. It vowed to become self-reliant. It embarked on a bold strategy to overcome the U.S. restrictions. This was a defining moment for Huawei. It was also a sign of China's determination to chart its own technological course. Huawei's response to the U.S. sanctions was swift and decisive. The company announced a massive $230 billion investment plan. This was a clear signal of its intent. Huawei would not be bullied. It would fight back with innovation and investment. This ambitious plan had a clear objective: secure its supply chain. Huawei would no longer rely on U.S. companies. It would cultivate domestic suppliers. It would forge partnerships with allies. The goal was to achieve technological independence. A significant chunk of the $230 billion was earmarked for acquisitions. Huawei set its sights on key suppliers and tech firms. These acquisitions would give Huawei control over critical technologies. It would reduce its dependence on U.S. components. This was a bold move. It was a risky gamble, but for Huawei, it was an essential step. The company was determined to survive and thrive in a world where access to U.S. technology was no longer guaranteed. At the heart of the U.S. strategy to contain China's tech sector is the semiconductor. These tiny chips are the brains of modern electronics. They power everything from smartphones to supercomputers. Control over semiconductors is seen as critical for maintaining technological leadership. The U.S. has imposed stringent sanctions on China's semiconductor industry. In October 2022, the U.S. government announced sweeping restrictions. These measures barred U.S. companies from exporting advanced chips and chip-making equipment to China. The goal was to stifle China's ability to develop its own advanced semiconductors. These sanctions have had a profound impact on Chinese tech companies, including Huawei. Access to cutting-edge chips has been severely limited. This has hampered their ability to develop new products and compete in the global market. The semiconductor sanctions are a clear indication of the U.S.'s determination to maintain its technological edge. They also highlight the strategic importance of semiconductors in the 21st century. Section 5. The battle for New Zealand's networks. The U.S. China tech war is playing out on a global scale. One arena where this rivalry is particularly visible is in the deployment of 5G networks. These next-generation networks promise lightning-fast speeds and greater capacity. They are seen as essential for powering the future of the digital economy. Huawei was an early leader in 5G technology. It secured contracts to build 5G networks in several countries. However, the U.S. government has pressured its allies to exclude Huawei from their 5G rollouts. It claims Huawei's equipment poses a security risk. New Zealand has become a battleground in this 5G war. Huawei has been a long-time player in the New Zealand market. It has provided equipment to major telecommunications companies like Spark and 2 Degrees. However, in 2018, the New Zealand government blocked Spark from using Huawei equipment in its 5G network, citing security concerns. Despite this setback, Huawei has continued to operate in New Zealand. It is focused on other areas of its business, such as smartphones and enterprise solutions. Huawei's experience in New Zealand illustrates the challenges faced by Chinese tech companies operating in Western markets. Section 6. When global ambitions collide. The U.S. China tech war is not just about national pride or economic competition. It is also about shaping the future of the global technology landscape. Each country has a different vision for how technology should be governed and developed. The U.S. has long advocated for an open and interoperable internet. It has promoted the free flow of data across borders. However, in recent years there has been a growing push for greater regulation of the tech sector. This is partly driven by concerns about the power of tech giants and the spread of misinformation online. China, on the other hand, has adopted a more centralized approach to technology governance. It has implemented strict controls on online content. It has also promoted the development of its own tech ecosystem with a focus on indigenous innovation. The clash between these two visions has created a more fragmented tech world. Companies are facing increasing pressure to choose sides. This is leading to a decoupling of the global technology industry, with separate supply chains and standards emerging. Section 7. Navigating a fractured tech world. The ongoing tech war between the U.S. and China has created a complex and uncertain environment for businesses. Companies are caught in the crossfire. They are having to navigate a world of competing regulations, geopolitical tensions, and technological decoupling. One example of this is Intel's failed attempt to acquire Tower Semiconductor, an Israeli chipmaker. The deal, worth $5.4 billion, was announced in February 2022. However, it collapsed in August 2023 after Intel failed to obtain regulatory approval from China. This case illustrates the growing difficulty of completing cross-border deals in the semiconductor industry. The tech war is also forcing companies to reassess their supply chains. Many companies have become overly reliant on China for manufacturing. The trade war and the pandemic have exposed the vulnerabilities of this approach. Companies are now looking to diversify their supply chains and reduce their dependence on China. This is leading to a shift towards regionalization. Companies are setting up manufacturing facilities in countries closer to their customers. This is helping to mitigate the risks of disruptions and geopolitical tensions. Section 8. The rise of indigenous innovation. The U.S. China tech war is accelerating a trend towards technological sovereignty. Countries are increasingly seeking to develop their own indigenous capabilities in critical technologies. They are investing in research and development. They are providing incentives for domestic companies. This is particularly true in areas like semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. These technologies are seen as essential for national security and economic competitiveness. Countries are realizing that they cannot afford to be reliant on others for these technologies. China has been at the forefront of this trend. The country has invested heavily in building its own tech ecosystem. It has created national champions in areas like e-commerce, social media, and artificial intelligence. The U.S. is also taking steps to bolster its own technological leadership. The government has announced plans to invest billions of dollars in research and development. It is also providing incentives for companies to manufacture semiconductors domestically. This drive for technological sovereignty is likely to lead to a more fragmented tech world. Countries will develop their own standards and regulations. This could make it more difficult for companies to operate globally. Section 9. A future of technological bifurcation. The U.S. China tech war is reshaping the global technology landscape. The outcome of this rivalry will have profound implications for the future of innovation, economic growth, and geopolitical stability. One possible scenario is a technological bifurcation. The world could split into two separate tech ecosystems, one led by the U.S. and the other by China. Each bloc would have its own standards, supply chains, and regulations. This would create significant challenges for businesses which would have to navigate a more complex and fragmented world. Another possibility is that the U.S. and China will find ways to coexist and cooperate in certain areas of technology. This would require both sides to make concessions and find common ground. It would also require a willingness to de-escalate tensions and build trust. The future of the global technology landscape is uncertain. However, one thing is clear, the U.S. China tech war is a defining event of our time. It will shape the world for decades to come.